Hello everyone. I thought I would read some of my book for you. I thought I'll start off with the start and see if there's any interest, and maybe I'll be able to keep it up. Who knows? We'll give it a go. So, for those who don't know, my book is of an experience I had, gosh, it would be 10 years ago now, 2009. My book is called Treasures of Darkness, A Prison Journey. You can see there. Yep, nothing like airing your dirty laundry in public. Let's just do that. But anyway, my life is that it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond that determines how well you go on. And this is a book I wrote as it happened. I didn't know I was writing a book. It's made up of my letters and journal entries of when I was incarcerated for 8 months. And anyway, I'll just get stuck into it. So, prologue. It was July 2009. I lay on my back on the empty prison tennis court, gazing up at the sky. It was the only time in S1 where there was not a caged ceiling above my head. I still remember how blue the sky was. Our 1 hour of exercise time outside was almost up. The other 5 women from my unit had already gone back into the block for a cigarette or a cold drink. From a short distance, the voices of some Murri women, Aboriginals. These girls called out to me from their unit windows facing the court. "Hey, sister girl, you okay? What are you doing?" It's nice when they call you sister girl. I waved a lazy hand to them and smiled. I felt the blue sky like I felt the breeze, soaking it in. Gosh, I can still remember. It had been so long. I reached up, swirling my hands in figure eights. I knew I looked crazy, but I didn't care. There was no wire, no bars between me and the deep blue sky. I blinkered my eyes with my fingers to block the wire side fences from my peripheral vision. That's better. I imagined I was free. It felt like, for once, I was cheating the system that so thoroughly controlled each area of my life, covering me in greyness. I was 6 months into an 8-month sentence. Each day felt like a week, each week like a month. If you want to know what prison's like, that's what it's like. This stint in S1, it's the punishment block, was supposed to be a punishment for an incident that got me kicked out of the minimum security facility known as Helena Jones Community Centre at Albion. That was embarrassing. In the heart of Brisbane. But instead, S1 was a relief. The conditions were Spartan, but felt more like a spiritual retreat, giving my shattered nerves rest. The women I shared a unit with were supposed to be the worst, but I found them very easy to get along with. How sad to be in a category where you are considered bad, even by prison standards. How much rejection can a person take? I liked these women better than the catty ones who acted superior back at Helena Jones. These ones didn't have to prove how tough they were. Well, some of those catty ones were here too, but this is where the roughies were, and I was actually more at ease with them. They didn't get caught up in politics or nasty backstabbing. They called a spade a spade. Well, actually, they called a spade a blup, 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 censored spade. But I hardly noticed. I just saw precious women being their kind of normal. They thought I was a bit odd, but harmless. Not much has changed there. People think I'm a bit odd now. I don't care. What do they say? I don't suffer mental illness. I enjoy it. That's not in the book. That's just something I've realised lately. So they called me a 180 straighty, both morally and socially. I didn't swear, I didn't swing, I was nice and one of them real Christians. Possibly misguided, but well-intentioned. They indulged me, and I liked them. Perhaps I was seeing them the way God sees them. If someone had told me in January 2009 that less than 2 years later I would be on a platform speaking to 500 people about my prison experience, I would have blinked in bewilderment. Yet that public outing was just the beginning. I'd been so ashamed I didn't want anyone to know of my failure. Imagine the worst thing you've ever done, the thing that you are most ashamed of, eternally available to the public on Google. Well, mine is. The loss of personal freedom and dignity affects people differently. For some, prison is an escape from the perils of a violent home or even homelessness. For others, it's where they catch up with friends who, where am I? Who lead an equally lawless lifestyle. And for many, it's just plain damaging. When asked about what being in prison is like, I sometimes wonder which answer to give. I spent 8 months incarcerated and had a variety of locations, people, and experiences. I was managed by people of questionable competence. It was awful, and yet there were times of sublime joy. Each time I had a victory over the evil that pervaded. It took time and ministry to heal the emotional and mental hits I took. However, I was determined not to be beaten. There were times I despaired. An insidious voice taunted me, telling me I had ruined my future and I was irreparably damaged. My children would have hang-ups and I had become preaching material for pious ministers to use. I was so embarrassed. Yet in the back of my mind, I always had hope. Sure, I would dip into despair and tears and anger. However, what kept me rising again was my faith in God, being able to make all things work together for good. My experience would not be wasted unless I gave up. The decision to go public was not easily made, but I was convinced it was the right one. And I had my first book to publish, and I couldn't do it without people finding out. That's my other book on fraud warning signals for women. It's called Dangerous Wealth, What Every Successful Woman Needs to Know to Avoid Being Ripped Off. In hindsight, I'd pick a shorter title. But my pride became less important than my message. And the feedback from the book, Dangerous Wealth, so it's a book on financial and romantic fraud signals and bounce back, was very positive. But people also wanted to know how I coped in that prison experience. So they wanted to know, what was it like? How did you cope? And what did you do that I might do in my life to help me rise up again and be strong in difficult circumstances? Because we're all looking for more resilience now, aren't we? So hopefully I can offer some tips on that as we go through strategies to help, because I think I beat it pretty well. I think I am pretty resilient now. All right, so this is not a simplistic how-to self-help book. I had to do what was needed to help myself. If that gives you keys for your life, that's even better. One thing I know, I choose what that experience means for my life. My perspective dictates my success, and so does yours. You can change the past and free your future. I did. I'll stop there for now because we're supposed to keep videos short, so they tell me. If you do want to get a copy of this book, if you're in Australia and you get in touch with me, I can sign a copy and mail it to you. Can't really do that if it's overseas. I don't know how. I can't sign it, but if you're in America, I can get it drop shipped to you, or Europe, I can do it through Amazon that way, or you can buy it through Amazon, or I can send it to you that way. If you're in Australia, $30 will include postage. It's a big book. It's 6x9. It's you know, good value. That would include postage. Anyway, and you can visit my website. I have two. One of them is my business one is speakertrishjenkins.com. My ministry one is trishjenkinsfaith.com, and I think they both have links to the Amazon pages if you want to get your own copy. Or you can hang out here and hopefully I will become more consistent and keep reading the book if you're interested in having me read to you some more. Okay, well, I'll sign off now and see you next time. All right, bless you heaps. Bye.